Namaste, James and Claire. I'm so happy to be both of you and really happy. And then thanks so much for your time. And this is a podcast where we talk about the habits of positive role models. And I consider both of you extremely positive people and role models in your industry and inspiring to a lot of other people. So without much ado, thank you once again. I'll let you introduce yourself to our wider audience. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Namaste to you as well.
Namaste, Krishna. It's great to be here. Thanks so much for having us on.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so we're Claire and James, and we're the Midlife Mentors. And we also run a wellness retreat company, so a holiday fitness company called 38 Degrees North. So we wear two hats basically.
Fantastic. Yeah, could you let us know how did that come into being? I know you have a podcast as well, and you have retreats, and you do it in Ibiza and UK and a lot of other places. So could you tell me how that happened?
Wow, it all goes back to 2011 and deciding that I'd had enough of the corporate life in London and was willing to take a risk moving to Ibiza. And I had the idea of setting up fitness retreats over there. At the time, they didn't really exist. They weren't large scale. People thought I was mad to try and do one on a party island. But I knew it had like some beautiful scenery, pine forest, beaches. And I wanted to reinvent the experience rather than back then in those days, it was kind of the model was like weight loss. So it was, let's like feed everyone sub 1,000 calories, just beast them every day. They don't really know what they're doing. Sure, you get results, but afterwards, it goes back. So I had the concept of partnering with 5-star luxury hotels, educating people with the tools they could take away. So like, let's tell you about nutrition. Let's have healthy things on the menu. But if you want to go for, a burger or a pizza, you can do that as well. Because now you understand, how that works with your body. Same with not just doing training, but also doing the mindset work with them, going, what's your big why for wanting to be fit and healthy? What are the limiting beliefs you've got that are holding you back? How are you going to start working to change those? So really this holistic approach. And then from there, we're lucky enough to make that really successful. But we noticed most of our clients were like 35 plus. And that's, I'm 49, Claire's 42.
You got it right. That's the first, he's only started getting my age right. We've been together.
Knocked years off.
We've been together 6.5 years. He's only just started getting my date of birth right. Yeah. He does detract a year, which is quite sweet, really, rather than putting a year on. I think I'd be more offended if you added one.
Exactly. But then in 2019, we decided to really focus as well on this midlife coaching. And the drive for that was just seeing so many clients presenting with similar kinds of issues, things going on in their lives, and also like our own experience with friends going, oh, your 40s, your 50s, this is kind of like the beginning of the end. I just got to accept like having no energy, putting on weight. And we're like, no, it doesn't have to be this way. So
when we started off through the podcast, so I think it was the end of 2018 going
19,
into,
I was 19.
So end of 2018, we did a beta test on the Midlife Mentors method, I think. And then we started a podcast called the Midlife Mentors podcast, as we are called. And it was basically just to share what you're doing really is to share our passion, our knowledge, our expertise, and some fun. So making midlife fun basically, and, helping people see that there's, a lot to be said for being midlife, the wisdom that comes with age and all those sorts of things. So it was basically James and I having a lot of banter on our podcast and having a lot of fun, and people have really related to it. It's no nonsense. It's authentic. And then from that, when the world went into lockdown, basically, our retreats, like we've said to you before, our retreats fell off a cliff. We were almost completely fully booked for 2020. Right. And it was like so many businesses, it was a really hard time. We had to really reinvent ourselves. Luckily, we were doing online stuff for a few years before that. So we kind of had the technical skill and knowledge and know-how how to do it very quickly. And so we had to refund everyone for 38 Degrees North, which was devastating because we love doing our retreats. But then the online, the midlife method went crazy and was amazing because everyone was feeling really out of control. They didn't feel like they had any, they didn't know when this was going to end. It was very uncertain. And one thing they could look after was their health. So it just went from there really. And it was just, it's been an amazing journey for us.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing, because I've seen your website, so much of awards, so much of proud moments and so much of feedback from clients. It's amazing. Could you tell us probably some of the awards or some of the proud moments in the last, ever since 38 Degrees North and Midlife Mentors were born, some of the proud moments that you can really relate to?
Wow. Well, I mean, awards wise, we've won nine since 2019, but the two most recent ones were both for online coaching. So we won an iLuxury online coaching provider, and then the Prestige Award said we were online coaches of the year
for the Southeast,
which is just amazing. So that was really nice after kind of only really being in that space, I guess, seriously for about 2 years to get those. And the judges said some really nice things.
Congratulations. I'm so super proud of you. Yeah, very, very. Yeah, you inspired so many people. Well done.
Thank you. Do you know what though? I think the things that we're most proud of, honestly, is when we have testimonials. Like when clients say to us, when the retreats business just went flying out the window, that was our way of getting energy off of people and helping people change their lives when they're with us. But I have to say, having people over an 8-week period, which is the Midlife Method and our coaching, and then a lot of them stay on and stay in our world, and continue working with us. It's the testimonials that they say, that they give us. We've got so many clients just saying that it wasn't just about weight loss and nutrition, but it was about living their life and reclaiming their life and living it with zest and excitement, and how it's changed other areas of their life, like their relationships, their work, their ability to expand their business. It's amazing. They're the things,
definitely,
that we feel most proud of.
It's amazing, isn't it? Once you change someone's life and how they align with your values and stay together and grow together in the journey. It's no more about clients, but more like a friends and family.
Yes. Well, we ran a retreat actually in July last year, and there was 20 people, and a majority of them had never met each other before, and we had never met them before, but they were clients of the Midlife Method. So they knew each other all online, and then they decided to all come to one of our retreats, and it was really special. I
want to say one other thing I'm proud of, off the back of this coaching work we're doing with individuals, that's led to us being introduced into some corporates as well. And we're working with a big 4 firm, and we've delivered workshops there to like 2,000 people plus, and then we had the feedback that they're using the content on their intranet internally, so thousands more, just the feedback from that. So that really lights us up, because it's great. We love working one-to-one and seeing those results, but being able to reach like a large audience and actually hear that it's actually impacting them and they're making positive changes is
in
also
the workplace.
So amazing.
Because it can be, in the workplace, you can be it's a bit lip service, isn't it? Wellness and health and all that sort of stuff can be just ticking a box. But to actually hear that we're introducing certain things and certain ways of looking at things, that's really changing their mindset and changing their behavior at work is really beautiful.
Thanks for sharing that. And you said mindset and behavior. So that's a perfect segue to get into habits that I want to talk about. What are some of the positive habits for each of you that has helped you to, do what you do and be who you are? It's amazing. I would like to know individually as well.
Yeah. Shall I go first? My morning routine is, I think, it's a game changer. Yes, we're obviously personal trainers, nutrition advisors, so all that fitness and health side. So obviously that really, really helps. That's a habit of moving my body, eating well. But actually it's my morning ritual, my morning routine of getting up, writing my gratitude list, writing how I want to show up in the day, writing my affirmation for the day, doing a bit of meditation, doing a bit of visualization of my future self. That's the thing that I would say, getting into a routine of that has really, really changed my life. That's changed my life.
Right. Yeah. That's amazing, isn't it? It's one thing to do, understand in theory and actually practice it. So just for our audience sake, I just want to know how do I incorporate that into my life? I understood that it's theory. So when do you sleep? When do you wake up? And then how does the ladder look like? Once you get up, what's the first thing you do?
Because we did the same thing.
Yeah, we did the same as Claire.
So what time do we get up?
So I'd say for anyone out there, you should try and get in the habit of going to bed and getting up at the same time every day, because your body loves routine and your mind loves routine. So work out what works for you. Personally, for us, we go to bed between, I'd say, 9 and 9:30, but we wake up between 5:30 and 5:45 every morning.
Yeah.
So we get up early, but we want that time to get up and ground ourselves. So we'll get up, we'll do our gratitude list.
No, you're missing bits. He's missing bits.
Oh, dear.
So we get up. This is how the morning rolls. This is what he's asking. Like, we get up. I make a lemon and ginger tea.
Oh, so I forget that because it just gets brought to me in bed.
I do it for him. So he just thinks I'm an amazing wife. Yeah, he just thinks it arrives, just like poof, like magic.
It does.
So I get up. I splash water over my face, seriously, so that wake myself up a little bit. Go and make a fresh ginger and lemon tea. Bring it back to my lovely husband. We go into separate rooms, and then we do the morning rituals. And that would be for me. First of all, I've got an actual journal that takes me through 3 things that I'm grateful for, 3 things that will make today great, my affirmation for the day, and then I do sit there. I either sometimes, for me, I need to mix it up. So the same meditation over and over again, I'll get bored and then I won't do it. Yeah. So I mix up my meditations. I've got something called Insight Timer. So if I've got 5 minutes, I can listen to a 5-minute thing, or I might just meditate on my own. If I'm feeling like I really don't need that guided meditation, I can just do it myself. And then I will visualize my future self. So we've both got like vision boards on our laptops, actually. So then we'll just open that up and have a look at that vision board and visualize our future self.
Great.
On there, we move our bodies and then have our breakfast. So it's like, and I'll tell you, this is really important for people. We're holistic beings, and so often we'll miss out a part, but it's about how the whole works together. So it's really important to do that mindset, that emotional work, but also to nourish yourself correctly and do the movement as well, because they all interplay with each other.
Right. So you have set your reticular activation system, RAS, in the beginning with the visualization board, and then do you get out or do you work out inside the room usually, or it depends where you are?
We go to a gym to work out.
Yeah.
So we've got a nice walk. So we walk there,
listening to affirmations,
listening to more affirmations, and then we'll do our separate workout, and it'll be depending on the day, a blend of a short hitch session and or resistance training. And then that's us. And then when we come back, we'll generally have a shower and then we're into work. But generally, we're sat down starting to work and access emails about 8:30 in the morning.
Right. Do you do a cold shower? Are you a big fan of cold shower? Or?
Yes. Yes, so I do also, like sometimes I'll mix up in the morning. Actually, I don't have time to do it at the moment because we're getting into the gym earlier. But then what I'll do is come home and do some breath work. So the Wim Hof breath work, I love that. Mm-hmm. We both have cold showers. So I'll start with a hot shower, then turn it to cold for a couple of minutes. And then try and warm ourselves up in the English weather. And then we'll have a decaf coffee because we don't have caffeine. And then, sit down and start going through. Actually, one of the habits of work is we actually set times of when we go through emails. So we'll go through emails at the beginning, have a chat about what the day holds, look what our diaries look like, and then we'll just get creative. I'm most creative in the morning, so I'll write any content and post or anything I need to write in the morning. I think you're the same as well, aren't you?
Yeah, talking about caffeine, I know you quit coffee, Claire. How did you do that? What did you replace with? Because coffee for most people could be for energy boost, but for some people it could be a reward. In my case, if I feel good, it's a reward, or it's a reward to feel good. So it works both ways.
Yes.
How do you get around, especially with people in social settings or otherwise? What's accessible? Ginger tea? No, I mean it takes time. I'm just asking for the audience their benefit too. How do you do something? What's a replacement? What's a strategy? What helped you?
I think having a really strong why of why I wanted to give it up, and knowing what it was doing inside my body. So, it really does. There's a lot of chemicals in coffee, and even in decaf coffee as well. So I try not to drink much of it at all. I just have a few sips in the morning, actually, just because I still get that taste. But my strong why was I was really poorly last year. I don't know what was going on for me, but I had loads of blood tests. I couldn't get my energy. I was living off coffee to try and give me my energy, and it was this really vicious cycle. And in the end, I read up a lot about it, and I wanted to know what the energy of my own body, my pure energy, was like. And I knew coffee wasn't good for me, and I knew I was drinking more and more of it. So for me, I'm not recommending this, but I went completely cold turkey. And I was having about 4 cups in the morning, and I went completely cold turkey, didn't have any at all. So I had really bad, this is a natural thing, I had really bad come down, you know, like headaches and stuff. I had a headache for about a week and a half. I replaced mine. I got addicted, James will tell you, to herbal teas. But it is hard when you go out for coffees. I mean, I'll either go into coffee shops and have a peppermint tea, not as sexy, obviously, or I'll ask for a decaf. But there's a cultural thing around coffee, and it's I mean, I was in PR, so it was very kind of like this media lovey type thing, you know. Oh, I'll go and treat myself with my coffee, my latte, my caramel. So it's a very kind of like society culture thing, and so I recognize that now I don't drink it. But yeah, I think just going with herbal teas, and once you are at this place, you know what your own energy is. And my energy now is way higher than it was with coffee. True. Way more than off coffee.
Right. So, James, did you have any? I mean, I'm just considering coffee as the bad habits. I'm just trying to get into some of the habits that you had, in the past, and you overcome some of the bad ones or routines. So that just know, how did you do that?
Yeah. So a bad one for me, and I think is really common, was feeling that the need to check what's going on in my world as soon as I woke up. And so many of us do that, right? Some people have the phone in the bedroom, maybe they even have it as their alarm. Please don't. You can go and buy an alarm clock for like £3-4, a basic one. Just don't have the phone there, because the alarm goes off, you look at it, you see the notification, you're like, oh, what's that? The worst thing you can do, I think, is start the day by giving your energy away to outside sources. And I certainly found that was true for me. If you wake up and you're straight away into your email, looking at social media, watching the news, you're just letting all this outside information define how you're feeling at the start of the day. So it was really hard for me to give that up, because I think we know the people that design this stuff are very clever, and it is very addictive. You just have to like wean yourself off it. So now we don't sleep with our phones in the bedroom. And I don't look at my phone until I've got back from the gym. In terms of like looking at emails or anything like that. So that whole part of my morning of like, my morning rituals, my gratitude, my workout, my cold shower, it's all done before I start looking at like, okay, what's coming in for me. And here's reality check we all need. We've grown so used to the notifications, the ping in the email, like there's a sense of urgency in that. But actually, if that email's waited all night, if it waits another couple of hours, it's not going to make a difference to you. If someone needs you urgently, they're going to phone over and over and over. And if you see that, obviously you can answer your phone. But, stuff can wait, I think, is a big lesson that I had to learn. And I did that just by weaning myself off it and being strict. So if I was picking up, no, I don't want to do that, I'll put it back down.
I know. And I'll just second that. Like, I'm very conscious now, I have like an awareness of when I get stuck in what I call the scroll hole. So like I'm looking at my phone and I'm scrolling, and then if I catch myself, sometimes I still don't, but I'll catch myself and I'm like, what am I wasting? I am wasting my precious time here. I'm actually still, because it's a natural instinct, potentially comparing myself to other people. Comparison is a thief of joy. It really is. So you see other people, and then I'm like, what am I doing with my time? Okay, switch it off and go and read a book. If you need something to like chill yourself out or switch off for a bit, go and do something that's nurturing your soul. Don't go and sit looking at what everyone's highlight reels that aren't even really true.
I know. I think so, most of the people, some of my clients and friends also, they get bored. It's a new cigarette. I mean, I feel the phone is a new cigarette because it's so easy, and just flip and then you get the hits and dopamine hits, and then without the nicotine and the nicotine as well. So what is the replacement? Like you said, can we have a small book that you can flip through? What is your joy? Or can you listen to your favorite song and listen to the chords, or trying to learn something is what I try to replace it with. And also I want to ask you, Claire, like, how do you catch yourself? Do you have a trigger? Do you have a timer to say that a scroll hold? How do you trigger that into your awareness?
It's about how I feel. So it's almost like I've tapped into, as I've got older and more aware of myself, I'm like, what am I feeling here? Like, what am I feeling? And if I'm not feeling, if it's just like numb and it's not, and I'm looking at other people, and that feeling starts to creep in of, oh, look at that person. Oh, look, that's like, it's an awareness thing of, oh, it's got me. It's caught me, and I'm getting a dopamine hit of this, but it's actually not doing my soul any good. So it's more of an awareness. I don't actually have a timer on it. I'm just super aware now that when I start scrolling, I'm like, oh, I'm doing that thing again. And that's a habit of noticing it, a habit that doesn't come easily. I still miss it sometimes. I'm still there, 10 minutes later, I'm like, oh, hang on a minute, it's happened again. So, and then for me, the replacement is kind of reading some of my affirmations that I've got on my phone. So actually still having my phone, my little comfort blanket, but reading my affirmations off my phone, or going to my little iBooks thing and reading like a chapter of one of my alcohol-free books or something like that. So just doing something to detract away from that. Anything is better than that.
Yeah. And James, you mentioned that you don't allow the outside world to come in first thing in the morning. What about the night before? Because that's also important to, let what are you feeding into your brain before you go to sleep, because that gets processed too. So what are your evening routines, if you may, please?
Yeah, so again, we have a rule of like being off our phones like at least an hour before bed, which aim for 2 hours. So you're not going to bed with that. I mean, our evening, we finish work, we'll generally make it like a nourishing dinner, eat that. We're producers, we never watch linear TV really. No. So we'll pick a series.
A documentary,
or watch one episode. And then we'll generally go to bed and read for a bit. And then,
I listen to more of my affirmations. I sit out here, I burn some of my incense and lock James in the bedroom for a while I'm out here. And then I scribe quite a lot at night. Actually, that's when I just kind of scribe about what was good about today, what might have gone a bit better. And then just get some of my thoughts out from the day and not judge myself about what's coming out, just to get it out of my head before I go to sleep. And then I'll listen as I'm going to bed. I'll read for a little bit, and then I listen to affirmations as I'm dropping off to sleep.
Again, I would say to everyone, please don't take your phone to bed.
No, and then I turn it off and then bring it back in here.
Yeah, I don't have a TV at all. I never bought one. I don't watch it. And one thing that I agree with you about not watching TV and watching documentary is that you have a definite beginning and end to a documentary. Whereas in social media and TV, it just goes on and on. It's a continuous loop. You don't know, you're tired, but then you're like really shitty and low energy than you ever wanted to feel to begin with.
Yeah. Honestly, Krishna, I look at now you don't, when you step away from what most people watch, and I don't mean to sound negative, but when you step away from what most people watch on evening TV in the UK, it is a load of drivel. It is absolutely mind-numbing nonsense. And you're like, this is still on TV because millions of people are watching this on a Saturday night and on a Friday night. And you're like, EastEnders. I mean, who is still watching that without coming away just thinking, the depression. If we're anxious and depressed as a nation, go and stick yourself in front of the TV and you'll be even worse.
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's a place for light entertainment, but I'd say, just ask yourself, are you using television as an escape from your reality? And if you are, is that time better used changing your reality?
That's really important. I think that's one of the strongest questions I ever heard, anytime in the recent past. Very empowering question. So for viewers out there, I think if you can just pause this, write down what James said, and then probably that could be a reformation in the morning, and then try to get out the answers, write down, reach out to me or Claire and James. I'll give the details below. But thanks for that. I'm really, really appreciative of that thought, because that's a great way to, trigger yourself into taking action into where you want to go, rather than giving yourself to. A lot of people think hypnosis doesn't work. What is TV doing? It's taking you from your beta wavelengths to alpha frequency, and that's exactly hypnosis. You're feeding yourself a whole lot of drivel, like Claire said. And what does that make you?
Yeah, exactly. And we are hypnotized completely. We're not just hypnotized by TV, we're hypnotized by media generally. So constantly bombarded. People aren't even aware. What I would say to all your listeners and viewers, He's like, start being aware of what you're being fed. So we say about feeding ourselves. We're not just talking about food. We're talking about what's coming into our eyes and what's coming into our senses, what's coming into our ears, what's coming into the touch. It's everywhere. And you are, you know, being manipulated in a way that is not necessarily where you think you're going. You're not even aware, but it's where someone wants you to go.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah, I always look at it as balance sheets. So you can either be consuming or creating. And creating can be all those things we've talked about: self-development, you know, doing your workouts, reading a book, doing your affirmations. Consuming is when you sit off like, okay, I'll watch a movie. You know, we all want a bit of consuming.
Yeah.
But if you're regularly consuming more than you're creating, you need to look at that balance.
Yeah, absolutely. I think joy and happiness comes from creating, not from consumption. Absolutely, absolutely. Because when you're consuming, you're passive and you don't grow and you're someone else's feed, so to speak. But then when you're creating, that's when your authentic expression comes from, and you feel joyful, even if it's just a doodle or just reading or even speaking to someone, letting your heart out or playing the guitar. So yeah, I mean, creativity and it need not be, groundbreaking stuff. It could be anything to let yourself express yourself in a way that is possible for you.
Do you know what? It's exactly that. And when we work one-to-one with clients, when we coach one-to-one clients, we're like, even on our group program, we're like, what did your younger self like? People are like, oh, I don't know what I want to do, you know. And actually, if you ask us midlifers, a lot of us, what do you love to do rather than what you have to do, they're like, oh, I don't know. I don't know. What do you just do for joy? Oh, I don't know. So actually, is it painting? Is it dancing? Is it listening to a podcast? Is it reading? Is it having a bubble bath? Is it anything? You know, where's that creative expression in you? Because that's why our soul starts to die and wither away, because we're not doing things just for joy. We're either working, we're doing things for our children, we're doing things for everyone else. And I've just started taking up dancing.
You have?
I've just started dancing again. I know. And I went to this dance class and I was like, oh my goodness, I'm just doing it for fun. There's no other reason I'm doing this other than for fun. And it's really, yeah, it's a beautiful thing. I
want to say something about it, because as we get older, right, we have this fear. Our ego feels this fear of trying something new, because we think, I'm expert in my life at everything I do. I don't want to do something new because I'll be a beginner again. But guess what? That's only your ego talking. And if you just shut off now and decide to never do anything new, you're letting your ego dictate your future. And what kind of future is that, where you're just stuck as you are and not trying new things? So shut down the ego and be prepared to try new things and have fun. And don't be worried if you look like a fool. Everyone has to start somewhere. And if you're a beginner, you're a beginner. It doesn't matter.
You won't be a beginner for long.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think that's a great way, because I consider and let people know, get into a state of flow, go from the thought world or manipulated feed world into being world. It could be dancing, it could be creating. And that's when, even if it's starting something new, playing chess, for example, you get into a state of flow, you're learning. So you're learning something new, which is actually good for your brain, neurogenesis and all of that. We know plasticity, a lot of work that I do in habit formation. And then in about 10 weeks, or not 10 weeks, about 2 weeks or so, you got a new groove happening in your head and you start enjoying. And then you will actually enjoy what you're doing and then create something absolutely new. So I think
it expands the brain in other ways as well. So one of the things we talk about is indirect action. So if you actually, you're looking at a goal and you want to get from here to there, and that's your goal, actually start doing, completely separate to that, start doing other things outside your comfort zone. Start doing other little bits and pieces that are creative. Because actually what happens when you start doing this over here, creativity flows in other areas, like that business plan that you need to do, or that book that you want to write. And that's going to come from dancing, or that's going to come from writing, scribe, or whatever. Because you're starting to build new neural pathways, like you alluded to there, which is actually going to help with creativity in everything.
Yeah, so beautifully said. I used to say that, focused mind is when you're completely deep work and then you're focused, and then diffused mind is like what you said, take it off completely, don't think about work at all. And then the whole thing comes together. You have the pattern recognition, and then comes a, whoa, wow, that I could use this insight. That's brilliant. Listen, I use it a lot as well, and it's beautiful. That's how the bells ring and all the eureka moments came. I think people should know about. It's when you don't think about the problem, that problem gets solved.
Yes, absolutely. Take your attention away from that and move it over here.
Yeah, absolutely. And moving on to messages, a lot of values that you've already given to our audience, and to me as well. Going back to what Claire said, what you have to do versus what do you want to do, what do you love to do? That's another empowering question as well that people want to write down and then do it as an affirmation or a thought provoking statement in the morning. What would you want to, even the younger audience, not like anybody who wants to change their habit, any message that you want to give to our audience?
I would say, look at where you do want to go in life. Look at, model that behavior, look at someone that might have be where you want to be and have what you want to have. And just think about some of the habits that they might have actually that have got. So ask yourself the question, what habits has that person got that might have helped them get to where they've got to and the person that they've become? Also, and write those down, but also look at where your limiting beliefs and your habits of belief might be holding you back as well, and what some of those actions, behavioural habits are holding you back as well. So I think it's quite helpful sometimes to go, okay, that's that person over there, or what habits might I need to have over here to get to where that person is, or where I need to be or want to be. But what ones aren't aligned with that? What ones are kind of scuppering my progress towards getting there? And that's a really, really good place to start, to be honest.
Yeah. And I would say just don't underestimate the power of small changes. We're kind of programmed in our society to always think like, oh, it's that overnight revelation, that overnight success. And that's really like a myth. It's small changes done consistently, persistently, time over time that will actually lead to big changes overall. So, I'd say make those small changes, keep making them, and don't be afraid to get it wrong. We also have this fear of like, oh, I don't want to fail. Failing is just another form of learning. So put yourself out there, start taking the small steps. As you grow in confidence, make those steps bigger, and that's the way forward.
Yeah, we've got a little lorry. We're in central London, so we've got a lorry trying to reverse up a very small road. You could probably hear him beeping. One of the things I was also going to say is when some of our habits slip and we move back into behaviours, because we all do it, by the way. None of us are perfect. Perfection is the enemy of progress. Yes. No one's expecting you to be perfect.
Yeah, so, I would like to interrupt you there and say that again. Perfection is the enemy of
progress. Absolutely, it really is. There's no such thing as perfect, and if we try and be perfect, we'll be here waiting for the perfect time, the perfect moment for the rest of our lives. But when you don't get it right, like Jane says, don't beat yourself up about it, but think, okay, what I do next is the most important thing. It's not what's been, that's in the past, that's what's happened. What I do now is the most critical thing, and that's what we teach our clients. It doesn't matter if you had a massive blowout, you ate loads of chocolate, you had a boozy afternoon lunch. It doesn't actually matter. It's about what you do now, because if you keep on letting those things go and run, so those habits keep running and running, they're just going to ingrain themselves more and more and more. Just choose again. Just write that down and go, okay, it's about what I do now.
Yeah, what can I do now? So that you're getting the attention from the past to the present and action mode. That's where something you can create.
Exactly.
Yeah. Great. Do you teach all this to people who come, to your retreats? And just moving on to that, where can people find you? What are the things that you do? And if people want to reach out to you, to your retreats, not just Midlife, anyone listening to your podcast, where can people find you and your work?
Okay, so for our retreats business, you can find us at thirtyeightdegreesnorth.com.
That's all written.
That's all written.
No numbers.
So THIRTY.
All written out.
And that's our handle on Instagram and Facebook as well. For our coaching and our podcast, that's the Midlife Mentors. So the midlifemenotrs.com. And our handle on Instagram there is Midlife Mentors. We actually have a free community on Facebook, the Midlife Mentors community, where we just hang out and support people, give them advice. So feel free to come and join that.
But you can also email us as well.
Yeah.
Like you can email us at Claire or James, Claire's with an I and an E, at themidlifemenotrs.com. So if you're listening to this and you're interested in having some more one-to-one support, then we obviously offer coaching and mentoring as well. So we offer mentoring for fitness and retreat businesses, about how to set up their retreats, companies, and then we also obviously do one-to-one coaching around all this kind of mind, body and soul stuff. So it's a nice mix, it's a nice blend for us to
I love both of your blend and also what you do as well. And it's fantastic. So is there when's the next retreat or the next event coming in Europe or in the UK, so that is this something in line pipeline now?
So I think the next definite one is actually not until more to the end of the year, October, back in Marbella. So we work in Marbella through the winter months, but we will have retreats in the UK over the summer months. We're just talking to some venues at the moment. But you can get onto a retreats hot list. So basically you'll be the first ones to find out about our retreats. If you go to thirtyeightdegreesnorth.com, again, all written, thirtyeightdegreesnorth.com, I think there's like a bit in the menu, retreat hot list. You can sign up there for our newsletter and you'll be the first ones to know about our next lots of retreats.
Yeah, I'll list all the links in the description below. So wherever you are, you'll find it there on a link tree or anywhere. So you'll definitely find them in the online space. Thank you so much once again, James and Claire. It's been fantastic. And I look forward to meeting you in person sometimes in London before you go to Ibiza or Marbella.
Thank you, Krishna. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
You're just such a lovely, lovely soul. And it's been a real, real pleasure to be on this. Thank you so much. Your energy's gorgeous.
Virtual hugs.
Yeah, thank you. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.